Hi, Peter Charles here, and today let's look at the question whether you should consider upgrading your camera to the Fujifilm X-S20, especially if you're an X-S10 user. A few weeks ago, I picked up with this Fujifilm X-S20. I traded in my X-S10 on it. And when I checked out the difference in the specs between the two cameras, there was a surprising amount of difference between the two. Usually I don't upgrade cameras like that. I don't normally just go around and automatically buy the next one that comes out. I rarely do that. In fact, I think this is the first time I've actually gone out and bought the next model up. So why did I do that? I want to look at some advantages that the 20 has over the 10. And answer the question for you whether it would be a good idea or not to make the upgrade, to make the move. So first off, what's the same? The sensor's the same, the viewfinder is the same, the body layout is generally the same, though the body is slightly different. And one of the big differences is that it has the bigger grip, and that is to handle the bigger battery. It takes the same battery as the XH2 and the XT5. So if you've got any one of those two cameras, you can share batteries. That's one good thing. So this is the NP-W235. The benefit for that is that this now has a much greater battery life, especially important for video. I mean, in the past, I've had my X-S10 run out of battery in the middle of a video shoot. Yes, I have spare batteries, but you've still lost a part of that clip, and you could lose some important footage. So having a bigger battery is a big deal. You also get a lot more still photography out of it as well. So if you're running into battery life issues with the X-S10, going to the X-S20 is a big deal. The other thing that's a big deal, and the big change, is they've obviously made a change in the processor. Because when you compare the X-S20 to the XH2, you find out that the X-S20 is a mini XH2. It has pretty well everything the XH2 has in terms of its capabilities. There are a few differences which we'll touch on. But for example, autofocus, you've got the same object tracking that you have in the XH2. A big difference from the X-S10 that the autofocus was not so great. As a perfect example, I use my X-S10 a lot in my studio, but I always used it on manual. I couldn't trust it in automatic. It would do weird things every now and again, a little bit of a hunt, or it would focus on the wrong thing momentarily. Stuff like that was going on. This I use on autofocus all of the time in my studio, never worry about it. It's got a number of other features that are improvements as well, which we'll get to, but one of the big things I love about it is that you see this custom functions here, the C1 to C4. Well, in the old version, that was only capable of handling still photography. In this, it's just like the XH2. You can set up both still and video in these custom functions. So as a consequence, C1 to C4 on both these cameras are identical. And that also is an interesting comparison in that I can set this up exactly the same as I set this up, which tells you how similar they actually are. This really is a mini XH2. So when you're looking at autofocus performance, all of a sudden it's suddenly more reliable. It's more useful. You can go outside and shoot birds with it and get a very good hit rate. At least equivalent to the XH2, even maybe marginally better. When you get to video shooting, it's virtually the same as the XH2. Now, there are some differences. The XH2 is capable of 8K. This can only do 6K, but this one can do open gate using the full width of the sensor. The XH2 does not. So that, it's a bit of a yin and the yang in the video side, that this is very, very video capable. It has some excellent features. Now, the other thing I should mention is that it has a vlogging function, which I'll show you right there. And the vlogging function has the same product showcase or product priority, whichever name you want, as the Sony ZV-E10, which is videotaping me right now. So I'm using the product mode, and this works just as well. You put in vlog mode and you've got the product priority capability, just like the Sony. Even if you're not using it on vlog mode, you're just setting it to one of the movie settings, the autofocus is good enough that you can actually pull it off. I can put my hand in front of the camera and then pull it away and it will stay in focus. My hand will be in focus and I go back to my face without any problems. So, yes, when you're not using the vlog, even the autofocus can keep up with you putting something in front of the camera and pulling it away. So the video performance, the autofocus performance is huge improvement over the X-S10. So that's one major reason. If you are a video shooter and you're really intent on producing good videos, this is heads and shoulders above the X-S10. From the still photography side, it's the object tracking. You have the ability now to track birds, planes, trains, automobiles, kids, you name it. Now, it does separate face detection from object tracking, and that's true of all the Fujifilm cameras that have object tracking. But, you know, its ability to follow a moving subject, you know, if you're taking pictures of kids and pets and what have you, or you're into doing sports photography, you know, without spending a fortune on the X-H2S, you know, this is a good compromise for price versus performance. This gives you excellent value for the camera itself. A rolling shutter for video, I haven't really played with it too much. I haven't really seen anything that stood out to me. I think its readout speeds in HD, which is where I usually shoot most of my videos, is actually quite good. I haven't tested an open gate yet, but it's not something I normally use. But I would say that if you're looking for a video camera that you'll also use for stills, this is it. So as an example, I've got the Sony ZV-E10. It's, as I say, videotaping me right now. But when I go out with still photography, I take this. Okay? This goes in my studio, not the Sony. So it gives you an idea. Normally we would say, oh, use the Sony for that. No. I use this. It's a superior camera in pretty well every respect. So all I can say is if you're looking at the X-S10 and you're a bit disappointed with it, or maybe you've got an older camera and you're looking to upgrade and you've got the opportunity to pick between an X-S10 or an X-S20, I would say go with the 20 if you're going to be shooting videos, or if you're going to be using a lot of battery, or you're going to be following subjects, having to follow moving subjects. This is way ahead of the X-S10. And if you're just worried about autofocus reliability, this is ahead of the X-S10. So give that some thought. If you're looking at upgrading, I think even though this is more money, I think it's well worth the extra change. And now you can get it packaged with the 16-50 kit lens, which is a wonderful little zoom. I really like it. And it rarely comes off the camera. So anyway, give that some thought if you're in the market for an upgrade. Cheers.